So today we're going to look at some resting positions, and we're going to be using primarily bolsters and a chair. Now I'd like to just consider the whole idea of what's taking place when we rest, and really it's a combination of allowing our body to fall into support, basically. It's the weight of our body meeting the oppositional force of the support coming up underneath it. We also experience restful states when other oppositional forces that are supportive make contact with our body, for example through massage or supportive pressure coming into the body in general. Just to backtrack to our first video that we shot on preliminary relaxing movements, where we looked at some positions where we're lying back over two parallel bolsters. We just briefly kind of skipped over some rest positions, but what we discovered then really was that there are multiple rest positions, and a rest position that might suit me in this moment in time may not suit me down the track even in a few minutes' time. And rest is a discovery. It's a discovery of where our body needs to position itself to bring relief to whatever tensions that it has accumulated in for that particular moment in time. So even though we're going to look at some specific, really classical rest positions, please don't feel that you're limited to just these. And we'll just quickly go back to that first video that I just mentioned there, where we had the parallel bolster set up, and we started off leaning back over our bolsters like this. So this was kind of like our position one. What I was emphasizing is that we were covering some relaxing movements, but at any stage of that movement where any position felt particularly relieving, to just explore that more statically, and there is your rest position, ideal rest position for the tension that you need to release in that moment. And there are various side positions too, and leg position plays a tremendous role in bringing relief to different parts of the body. So rest positions, rather than being limited to a limited set of positions, are actually infinite. Whatever position suits your body is the right rest position for you. So in that video we basically covered lying on our back, letting gravity give us that oppositional force, bringing our bodies and the ground together in an oppositional fashion that we can rest into. We looked at side positions, so letting gravity work sideways. And these are all bringing, as soon as I move my leg out there, I'm feeling a lovely release of energy through those hips. And as soon as I bring my arm back, a lovely release of tension through this upper chest. Right. So all of these are extremely valid rest positions that I encourage you to explore, because the more you explore, the more you become familiar with what is going to suit your typical needs. So, and then we finally looked at some down. And again, leg position plays a tremendous part on where that release of tension takes place. So parallel bolsters just by themselves are just a tremendous setup. We're going to skip now from the bolsters. We're going to come back to the bolsters in a minute, but probably to one of the most restful positions that I know of that also is particularly relevant to stress in the lower back. So let's have a look at that. We'll need a chair for that one. This is usually the first position that comes to mind for people who are suffering lower back ache, but really if a person can't get down onto the floor, I would say, okay, don't do this. Get a back brace, put a back brace on, because again, as soon as your back registers that supported pressure, it's going to relax a little bit more and start to sort things out. But if someone is capable of getting down onto the floor with their legs up, so I'll pretend I've got a sore back, and I'm going to use this chair here to help me down in front of this. This is the one we're going to use. And all I'm going to do is just bring my legs up and rest my calves on the seat of the chair. That's it, lovely. I'm just going to lie back like this. This is quite a magical position because I've got support for my back, and I've also got support under my legs, and I just feel maximally supported. Now, I've had the occasional person say that actually the contact of their lower back or their tailbone with the floor is painful. So for something like that, if you do have something like a fairly spongy mat, you can always bring that underneath. And also you may find a pillow just under the head might be really good. And you can just use trial and error for this. Certainly the pillow behind the head, anything that's going to add to the restfulness of the position is just going to mean that those back muscles are just going to relax, which is what you want. Now, with lower backs, and we'll probably do a separate video on lower back pain. We've already done one on an intense lower back workout, but we'll do more on that. So if you're still not getting relaxed enough, another thing is if someone just holds their head between interlocked fingers and just supports the weight of their head. It's different. Just try it, believe me, try it, and you most likely will find it's a different experience to using a pillow. A pillow is really good if you haven't got someone to do that for you. And you can even just very gently rub into the base of the skull and the back of the neck, like that. And maybe even just very subtly free up the neck like that, and it's tremendously soothing. Any stress relief for the neck is going to flow through the whole body, similarly to stress relief for the feet and the ankles. So in this relaxed position, particularly staying on the subject of back pain, now if your back pain starts to ease off, which very often it does, just through the relaxation factor, then you can start to just move into some gentle movement that isn't going to cause any stirring up of that pain. You can start to hitch those hips side to side, and you can start to rock those hips forward and back, and just combine those two, and then take a rest, just have a break. And we'll cover more on the subject of back problem rehab in a further video. Another thing is, again, like a little bit of pressure coming from the outside rather than just the floor pushing up, is maybe a bit of weight on the chest in the form of even just a light pillow or a rice pack on the chest, or even the tummy, wherever it feels more comfortable, and maybe a bolster on the fronts of the feet. But you just might need to play with them in terms of where you apply them and how heavy they are. Just getting back to this whole principle of the principle of between opposites. It's that place of rest that's achieved through the meeting of oppositional forces, and not resisting that, just letting go into that effect of them meeting, and not trying to pull away from them, but just allowing them to come together. So if you've only got one bolster, there's a couple of different ways you can lie on it. One is with your tailbone actually on the end of the bolster. So you're lying on it just pretty much like a foam roller. And again, just adjusting your position that gives you the most stress release. Lovely opening and stress relief for the chest here. And if you want to move around with your legs, tremendous stress relief through the pelvis. So bringing the feet together, letting the knees fall out is one very, very stress relieving position for the pelvis. We're using gravity. And the reason we don't just do this on a flat floor is because the bolster between the shoulder blades and up through the spine is kind of more affirming than just a flat floor. And secondly, it relieves so much tension across the front of the body because the whole body is just falling out around the bolster and opening up the front of the body. So any leg position that feels good, sometimes letting the lower part of the body fall out in one direction and the upper body lean out in the other direction. Again, you've got a lovely line of stress relief through that transverse line through the body. Right. And a lot of people love this kind of position too. Tremendously stress relieving for the shoulders and the chest. And all kinds of combinations of all of those. Sometimes even crossing the legs. And in terms of breathing and so forth, we cover this a lot in most of our videos. To bring even more relaxation to the body, we can apply just the natural waves of our own breathing. So to open up this the upper chest center, if I want to maximize this to open up, what do? I lean into the floor with my lower body, with my feet and my legs. So I'm breathing in to expand, leaning away from my body with my legs and reaching my upper chest up over my head and also pushing out with my arms. That's the breathing in, expansion part of the breath cycle, and then just letting everything droop over that bolster on the out breath. So breathing in, lengthening out that way and expanding out sideways on the in breath, lifting the upper chest and letting everything just fall over the bolster on the out breath. Now, if people come to my classes, their energy levels are obviously very low for getting them to exercise. This is the typical position I put them in, which is pretty much the same as the single bolster, but it has some extra attributes too. You can just purchase your tailbone a little bit more solidly, and your head feels a little bit more solid with that extra length that you provide, and there's a little bit of support for the upper arms. So all the same kinds of positions and breathing. Apply. You can turn your head, you can move your body one way, and always remembering you can get some really good rest positions with one leg straight and the other leg bent, and that tends to lead into a lot of different stress relieving positions. The next really classic bolster arrangement is a two bolster one, and arranged like this, just a little bit offset from each other. And what we need is something under here. I've just got these two wooden blocks to put under here to sort of make sure there's a bit of support going to do, we're going to start off by putting our tail on the end of this top bolster and lying back. Now the trick here is for us to actually get our tail onto the bottom bolster, but we don't want it to be down here somewhere. We want it to just be touching bottom bolster, so that top bolster is really quite firmly pushing up into that lower back. If my tailbone is further down, I'm not going to get that low back support for the top bolster. Just being a little bit higher means that my arms have more freedom to open up a little bit more. My chest has that little bit extra space between myself and the floor to kind of open up, because my arms can fall down a little bit lower. Again, we can have different feet positions, expanding and relaxing. Right. So I'll just quickly show you the single bolster version. So we can start off same thing as for the double bolster. We start off with our tailbone actually on the end of the bolster, and then we just slide off till our tailbone can just touch. And that is so nice in the lower back. For me, bent knees position really helps me feel that bolster nicely pushing into that lower back. Right. Our next position is going to be a forward lying position. So what we're going to do is pull this bolster right in between our hips into our groin there, and we're just going to bring this other pillow here, and that pillow is going to rest on this bolster, but it's actually going to be up against our tummy. We're going to pull that into our tummy, and once it's there, we're just going to lie forwards and have our arms back like this. We'll change that arm position in a minute. And that is tremendously relieving. And of course it would be wise to change our head position. That is so tremendously relieving. So anytime you can find a novel rest position that's likely to produce sensations of quite unusual degrees of tension release and relief, which is what I'm feeling right now, because I haven't done this for some time now. Now some people may benefit from having two pillows here more. They may feel more support, which is quite nice. It's probably, it's just different for me, but some people just one pillow here, there's just too much of a gap and they're not going to feel any support for their tummies. I don't really need this. It's actually quite nice, it's just different. It kind of adds to the support here, but takes away from the support that I feel more in my upper body. So let's just quickly try that in an arms up position. So again, and with all these positions, as we talked about in our introduction with the parallel bolsters, if you find you want to twist your body one way or the other way, or even have your head up or your head down, just vary it and adjust it to suit your particular set of tensions for the day. So in this video we've covered some classic static rest positions, but we can learn to rest as we move. What the static positions are fantastic for is that they can help bring to the foreground our awareness of the weight weight of our own body and the support coming up to meet that weight from the ground coming up, so that we can utilise those same natural forces in whatever we do, in free movement, in load bearing, transmission of power, extension of our movement. Keeping that awareness will allow all of those things to happen easily.